Welcome back to Everyday English 15. I'm Ellie, and I'm here with my great friend Noah.
Hey everyone, great to be here. So Ellie, today we're diving into something a little deep.
We are. We're tackling a topic that is crucial for building real connections, but can be really tough for English learners. We're talking about how to talk about your feelings in English.
Exactly. It's one of those things that goes beyond just vocabulary and grammar. It's personal. And if you're listening to this and you've ever felt stuck trying to express how you really feel, we want you to know you are definitely not alone.
Right. So, Noah, let's start there. Why do you think this is so hard for learners?
Well, for one, there's a fear of sounding simple or childish. In your native language, you have 1,000 ways to describe being happy or sad. But in English, you might only have the basic words, and it feels like you're not really expressing the true depth of the emotion.
That makes so much sense. You feel like a less complex version of yourself. And I think there's a cultural layer too. Some cultures are very open about emotions, while others are more private. So you're not just translating words, you're navigating a whole new cultural context.
Totally. It's a vulnerable thing to do in any language, let alone a second one. But the good news is there are some really practical ways to build your confidence and vocabulary in this area.
And that's what we're here to help with. By the way, if you find these kinds of topics helpful for your English journey, please take a second to subscribe to Everyday English 15 wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us out and ensures you won't miss an episode.
Yes, please do. Okay, so let's get practical. Where should someone start?
I think the best place to start is with the basics. Don't try to be Shakespeare overnight, just get comfortable with the core emotions. Think of it like a foundation. What are the big ones, Noah?
All right, the big ones are usually happy, sad, angry, and scared. You could also add surprised and disgusted in there. These are your starting block.
Exactly. Now, the magic happens when you start learning words that are shades of these core feelings. This is how you add that complexity you were talking about. So let's take happy.
Okay, happy.
Instead of just saying I'm happy, you could be more specific. If you got a promotion, you might be thrilled or ecstatic. If you're just having a nice, quiet day, you might feel content or pleased. See the difference?
Yeah, ecstatic is a big happiness. Content is a calm happiness. I felt ecstatic when my team won the championship last year. I was screaming at the TV. Mookie, my dog, had no idea what was going on.
I can imagine. Poor Mookie. Okay, how about sad?
Right. Sad can be so many things. You could feel down if you're just having a bad day. If you missed out on an opportunity, you might feel disappointed. If something truly terrible happened, you could be heartbroken or miserable.
And learning the difference is key. Saying I'm heartbroken is much stronger than saying I'm a bit down.
Definitely. Let's do angry. Instead of just angry, you could be annoyed at a small thing, like traffic. You could be frustrated if you can't solve a problem. Or you could be absolutely furious if someone was really unfair to you.
Right. I get so frustrated when I'm trying a new recipe and it just doesn't work out. I follow all the steps. It's very annoying.
I can see that. You love your cooking. Okay, last one. Scared. This is a big one.
It is. You might feel nervous before a job interview or anxious about an upcoming flight. If you watch a horror movie, you might be terrified. Or you could just be worried about a friend who's going through a tough time.
Great examples. So the first tip is to build your vocabulary around those core emotions. It's like adding colors to your painting. You start with red, blue, yellow, and then you find crimson, navy, and gold.
I love that analogy. Okay, so once you have a few of these words, how do you actually use them in a sentence? There are two super common, super useful structures. The first one is simply I feel plus the adjective.
Simple and direct. I like it. So, I feel frustrated or I feel overjoyed.
Exactly. You can add more detail after that. For example, I feel nervous about giving my presentation tomorrow. It's a perfect way to clearly state your emotion. Okay,
What's the second structure?
The second one is great because it connects your feeling to a cause. It makes me feel plus the adjective.
Okay. So, for example, when my flight is delayed, it makes me feel really annoyed.
perfect. Or a happier one. When my cat Tinkerbell curls up on my lap while I'm reading, it makes me feel so content.
That's a nice image. I can relate. When Mookie brings me his ball to play fetch, it makes me feel so happy. It's simple, but it communicates the whole situation and the feeling perfectly.
It does. So for everyone listening, practice those two phrases. I feel and it makes me feel. They will become your best friends for expressing emotions.
All right, so we've got our vocabulary and our sentence structures. What's next? Are we ready to level up?
I think so. Let's talk about idioms. English is full of them, and they can make you sound so much more natural when you're talking about feeling.
Okay, hit me with a happy one.
A classic one is to be on cloud nine. It just means to be extremely happy, like you're floating. For example, after she passed her exam, she was on cloud nine for days.
On cloud nine. I like that. I was on cloud nine when I visited the mountains in Switzerland. The view was just unbelievable. Okay, my turn. A sad one is to be down in the dump,
Oh yeah, that's a good one. It sounds like how it feels.
right? It means to feel sad or depressed. You could say, he's been a bit down in the dumps since he lost his job. It's a very gentle and pathetic way to describe someone feeling sad.
Definitely. Okay, how about an idiom for being nervous or scared? I have one, to get cold feet.
Ah, yes, to suddenly become too scared to do something you had planned.
Exactly. It's often used for big life events like weddings, but you can use it for smaller things too. I admit I sometimes get cold feet before trying a really advanced pose in my yoga class. I just get nervous I'm going to fall over in front of everyone.
I'm sure you do great. Okay, my last one is for anger, to blow your top. It means to suddenly become extremely angry. Like, my dad blew his top when he saw the dent in his car. You know, speaking of anxiety, I had a real-life test a few years ago. I was traveling solo in a country where I didn't speak the language, and I missed the last train to the town I was staying in. It was late, dark, and my phone was dead. I felt a wave of panic. I couldn't just say, I'm terrified, because I didn't know the word. But I found a hotel, and at the front desk, I just said, my train is gone. I feel very not good, worried. I pointed at my dead phone and my useless ticket. The receptionist, who spoke a little English, totally understood. He was so kind. It taught me that simple, direct words can be incredibly powerful when you're vulnerable.
That's a powerful story, Noah. It shows that communication is more about connection than perfection. On the flip side, I had a moment of pure contentment last week. I was in a yoga class, holding a pose I used to struggle with, and instead of feeling anxious about falling, I just felt solid, grounded. The instructor said, feel the strength in your stillness, and it clicked. I wasn't ecstatic or thrilled, just perfectly content. It was a quiet happiness. It made me realize how many flavors of good there are.
And that's a crucial point. It's better to say, I feel sad and be understood, than to use a fancy idiom incorrectly and create confusion. Clarity is king, especially when you're starting out. Just focus on clear, simple communication. The complexity will come with time and practice. Don't let the fear of sounding simple stop you from expressing yourself at all.
It creates such a strong visual, like a volcano erupting. That's so true. It's about making the language your own. You know, these idioms are great, but sometimes just explaining the feeling in simple terms is even more powerful. It connects more.
That's a fantastic point. It's like a spice, not the main ingredient. Okay, we've covered expressing your own feelings, but conversation is a two-way street. What about responding when someone shares their feelings with you?
This is so important. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just listen and show you understand. You don't always have to solve their problem.
Yes, so what are some good phrases for that? If a friend says, I'm really frustrated with my work, what can you say?
A great phrase is, that must be really tough, or I can see why you'd feel that way. It validates their feeling. It shows you're on their side.
I love that. Validation is so important. You could also say, I'm sorry to hear that, for bad news. Or on the flip side, I'm so happy for you, for good news.
Right, and if you want to offer help, a simple, is there anything I can do, can mean the world to someone.
And beyond just validating, another great technique is to ask open-ended questions. Instead of jumping in with advice, you can ask something like, "That sounds really challenging. How did that make you feel?" Or, "What was that experience like for you?" This invites them to share more if they want to.
These are wonderful, practical phrases. The key is just showing empathy, showing that you've heard them and you care.
That's a great question. Confusion is a big one. You could say, "I'm baffled by a complex problem," or "I'm puzzled by a strange situation." If you're completely lost, you could even say, "I'm bewildered." For example, the ending of that movie left me completely bewildered.
Exactly. And with that, our 15 minutes are just about up. This has been a great chat, Ellie.
It really has. Okay, let's do a quick recap for everyone.
Go for it. First, start with the core emotions: happy, sad, angry, scared, and then build your vocabulary with more specific words like ecstatic, disappointed, or anxious.
Second, practice using the key sentence structures: "I feel" and "it makes me feel." They are your foundation for expressing yourself clearly.
Third, learn a few common idioms like "on cloud nine" or "get cold feet" to sound more natural, but remember not to overuse them.
And finally, learn a few phrases to respond empathetically to others, like, "That must be tough," or "I'm so happy for you." Remember, listening is a superpower.
Thank you all so much for listening. We know this isn't easy, but every little bit of practice helps you build deeper, more meaningful connections in English.
That's what it's all about. That's all from us at Everyday English 15. Until next time, take care.
Bye, everyone.